Have you ever imagined tackling rocky trails, muddy paths, or steep hills with a vehicle so small you could almost push it by hand? Most people picture off-roading as loud engines, massive tires, and trucks so tall you need a ladder just to climb inside. But here's the truth nobody talks about. Some of the toughest off-road machines ever built are tiny. And I mean really tiny. So small they look like toys. So small you'd never expect them to survive a single trail. And yet, they've conquered farms, mountains, battlefields, and terrain that left bigger vehicles completely stuck. Today, you're about to discover the smallest off-road vehicles you didn't even know existed. Machines that prove size means absolutely nothing when smart design meets raw purpose. And trust me, the deeper we go, the stranger and more impressive these machines become. Stick with me, because the last one in this series will completely change how you think about off-road vehicles forever. Let's start in Italy. In the 1960s, where narrow vineyard paths and tight countryside roads made full-size trucks useless, farmers needed something small, light, and tough. That's where the Fervvis Ranger was born. At first glance, you'd probably laugh. Round headlights, boxy body, tiny wheels. It looks like something pulled from a cartoon. But this little machine was no joke. Built in 1965, the Fervvis Ranger was designed to go where tractors and trucks simply couldn't fit. It used a small two-cylinder air-cooled engine borrowed from the Fiat 600, only about 18 horsepower. That sounds weak, right? But here's the twist. The entire vehicle weighed less than 1,100 pounds. That power-to-weight ratio gave it surprising agility. It could climb muddy hills, crawl through uneven ground, and slip between vineyard rows without damaging crops. Some versions even came with four-wheel drive and fully independent suspension, which was almost unheard of for a vehicle this small at the time. Farmers relied on it daily, hauling tools, supplies, and produce through terrain that defeated much larger machines. Today, surviving Fervvis Rangers are incredibly rare. Many sit in museums or private collections. One was reportedly used on the same Italian vineyard for decades, proving that sometimes the smallest solution is the smartest one. And if you think that's impressive, just wait. Because the next vehicle takes military history and shrinks it down to almost unbelievable proportions. Picture the legendary World War II Willys Jeep, now shrink it. Keep the attitude, keep the capability, and somehow make it even more fun. That's exactly what the Mini Jeep 4x4 is. This isn't a toy. It's a fully functional off-road machine built as a scaled-down replica of one of the most iconic vehicles ever made. Under the hood sits a small four-stroke engine. Usually between 200 and 300 C, it produces around 10 to 12 horsepower, which doesn't sound like much until you remember the entire vehicle weighs around 400 pounds. With four-wheel drive and a manual transmission, this thing behaves like a real off-roader. It climbs hills, splashes through shallow water, and crawls over dirt trails without hesitation. The suspension is surprisingly capable, and the knobby tires give it real grip. And visually, it's stunning. Military-style paint, vintage dashboard details, and that unmistakable Jeep shape. Adults can actually drive it comfortably. People use these on farms, private properties, and even backyard trails. One owner built an entire off-road course just to enjoy it with friends and family. And here's the wild part. Even though it's tiny, it turns heads everywhere it goes. Because you don't expect something so small to feel serious. But we're just getting started. Because the next machine on this list comes from a brand you'd never expect to build a compact off-roader. Yes, Porsche. Known for sleek sports cars and high-speed performance. But in the 1950s, Porsche built something completely different. The Porsche 597 Jagdwagen. This compact military off-road vehicle was developed for the West German Army. It was lightweight, rugged, and designed to survive brutal conditions. Under the body was a flat-four engine producing around 50 horsepower. Combined with four-wheel drive and a 5-speed manual transmission, it could tackle snow, mud, rocks, and river crossings with ease. It weighed under 2,000 pounds and featured fully independent suspension and a watertight body. That meant it could literally drive through shallow rivers without stopping. Only around 70 units were ever built, making it one of Porsche's rarest creations. Despite being a military prototype, engineers reportedly loved driving it because it handled so smoothly compared to other utility vehicles of the time. Today, restored examples sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. A reminder that even performance car brands sometimes build tiny machines with massive capability. And speaking of modern surprises, the next vehicle proves that electric power and off-road utility can exist in a very small package. Meet the ChangLi. A compact electric utility vehicle that looks like a cross between a microcar and a golf cart, but performs far beyond what you'd expect. Built in China, the ChangLi is just over 2 meters long and incredibly narrow. It's designed for light off-road work, hobby farms, and rural properties. Instead of engine noise, you get quiet electric torque. That instant power allows it to climb hills, roll over gravel, and navigate dirt paths with ease. Depending on the battery, it can travel up to 60 miles on a single charge. Inside, it's basic but functional. 2 adults fit comfortably, and there's space in the rear for tools or supplies. Some versions even include digital displays, lights, ventilation, and radios. The suspension is reinforced, and the tires are tougher than anything you'd find on a city EV. People use these on farms, ranches, large private properties, and outdoor events where quiet movement is essential. It looks friendly, almost cute, but it works hard. And that's the theme you're starting to notice. The smallest off-roaders often work the hardest. And the next one takes that idea and turns it into pure mechanical muscle. Imagine a machine smaller than a compact car that can haul over 1,700 pounds through mud, gravel, and steep slopes. That's the Crawler mini dumper truck. Instead of wheels, it uses rubber tracks like a mini tank. This gives it incredible traction and stability. Most models use small gasoline engines between 200 and 300 cc, producing up to 13 horsepower. That might sound weak until you see what it can do. Thanks to low gearing and a reinforced steel frame, it crawls forward carrying loads that would exhaust a team of people with wheelbarrows. Steering is handled by levers, allowing it to pivot in place and maneuver through extremely tight spaces. These machines are everywhere in construction, landscaping, greenhouses, and mountain farms. One small farmer shared that switching to a crawler dumper cut his workload in half. It became his most valuable tool year-round. Rugged, compact, unstoppable. And we're only halfway through the list. Because next, we're heading to Japan, where one tiny truck changed the future of utility vehicles forever. Asterisk. Before Honda became a global giant known for motorcycles, cars, and engines that last forever, the company took its very first step into the automotive world with something incredibly small. The Honda T360, released in 1963, this tiny pickup truck didn't just introduce Honda to 4 wheels. It shocked people with what such a small machine could actually do. At just under 10 feet long, the T360 looked more like a toy truck than a real work vehicle. You could almost park it sideways in a garage. But don't let its size fool you. This thing worked hard. Really hard. Under the hood was a tiny 356cc, 4-cylinder engine that screamed all the way to 9,000 RPM. That's motorcycle territory. It produced around 30 horsepower, which doesn't sound impressive until you realize how light the truck was. That high revving engine gave it energy, responsiveness, and a sound that made people turn their heads. Farmers, shop owners, and small businesses across Japan relied on the T360 to hold tools, supplies, and produce through narrow streets and dirt roads. The rear bed could handle up to 660 pounds, which was more than enough for daily work. The suspension setup allowed it to handle rough paths surprisingly well, and because it was so light, it rarely got stuck where heavier vehicles would sink. Some young drivers even modified them just for fun, turning a work truck into a weekend toy. Today, the Honda T360 is a cult classic. Rare, collectible, and celebrated as the vehicle that started it all for Honda. And if you think that was small but mighty, the next machine proves that tiny vehicles don't just carry tools. They carry entire loads most people wouldn't believe. Now imagine hauling dirt, gravel, sand, or firewood across rough terrain without breaking your back. That's exactly what the crawler mini dumper was built for. This compact workhorse looks like a baby bulldozer. Instead of wheels, it runs on rubber tracks that spread its weight across the ground. That means it doesn't sink in mud, doesn't slip on slopes, and doesn't panic when the ground gets ugly. Most models use small single-cylinder engines, usually between 200 and 300 cc. Power ranges from about 6 to 13 horsepower. On paper, that sounds weak. In real life, it's a monster. Thanks to ultra-low gearing, this machine can carry loads of up to 1,750 pounds. That's nearly a ton. Steering is done with dual levers, just like a tank, allowing it to spin in place and squeeze through spaces no truck could ever reach. Landscapers, builders, farmers, and greenhouse workers swear by these machines. In steep or muddy areas, they're often the only option. One farmer shared that before buying a crawler dumper, moving harvest crates took hours. Afterward, it took minutes. And the best part is how small it is. When the job is done, it parks next to a lawnmower. But we're not done with Japan yet, because the next vehicle is a legend that's still working hard today. The Suzuki Carry is one of those vehicles you've probably seen without realizing how important it is. Launched in 1961, this tiny truck became the backbone of countless industries, especially in rural and mountainous regions. The most iconic versions came out in the 1970s. Powered by small 3-cylinder engines around 600 cc, power ranged between 30 and 50 horsepower, which was more than enough for a vehicle this light. The Carry could haul up to 1,000 pounds in its rear bed and still navigate narrow paths, tight city streets, and rough terrain. Its design was simple and honest. Boxy cab, flatbed with fold-down sides. No unnecessary frills, just function. Independent front suspension and a solid rear axle gave it durability and stability. Farmers drove them through rice fields. Construction crews used them in places full-size trucks couldn't fit. In some parts of Asia, entire neighborhoods depend on Suzuki Carry trucks for deliveries, mobile shops, and food stalls. Even today, people import them to use on farms and ranches because they're cheaper, easier to maintain, and more versatile than many modern UTVs. It's proof that smart design doesn't age. And speaking of machines designed to survive extreme conditions, the next one was built to conquer mountains, high in the Austrian Alps. Where paths are narrow and terrain is unforgiving, a tiny beast was born, the Steyr-Puch Haflinger. At first glance, it looks almost friendly. Small body, simple shape, but make no mistake, this thing was built to go where almost nothing else could. Developed in the 1950s, the Haflinger was designed for military, rescue, and utility work in mountainous terrain. It used a rear-mounted 2-cylinder engine producing around 27 horsepower. Again, not much power, but the vehicle weighed just over 1,300 pounds. That low weight, combined with full-time four-wheel drive and locking differentials, gave it incredible traction. The suspension had long travel, allowing all four wheels to stay planted on uneven ground. It could climb slopes that defeated much larger vehicles. The military used it. Mountain rescue teams relied on it. Electricians drove it up to remote towers. There was even a version turned into a mini ambulance for high-altitude rescues. Despite its size, it could carry multiple passengers or over 1,000 pounds of cargo. Today, Haflingers are still used on farms in mountainous regions. Enthusiasts take them on trails and show them off at events. It's widely considered one of the most capable compact off-road vehicles ever made. And just when you think you've seen every type of small off-roader possible, the next one breaks the rules completely. What if your off-road vehicle didn't stop when the land ended? What if it just kept going? That's where the Lazareth Amphibi comes in. Designed by French engineer Ludovic Lazareth, this machine looks like it came straight from a sci-fi movie. On land, it behaves like a high-performance ATV, wide stance, long suspension travel. Aggressive tires. Powered by a single-cylinder engine around 300 cc, it produces up to 25 horsepower. But here's where it gets wild. When it hits water, a retractable jet turbine deploys, transforming it into a mini watercraft. No trailer, no switching vehicles, just keep going. The frame is sealed, allowing it to float naturally. Independent suspension helps it absorb rough terrain before and after water crossings. It's been used in extreme sports démarches, rescue demonstrations, and even by private property owners with land that includes lakes and wetlands. One owner reportedly uses it to patrol his estate without ever turning around. It's small, it's fast, and it doesn't care where the terrain ends. But the final stretch of this journey takes us into snow, ice, and frozen wilderness. Most off-road vehicles fear deep snow. Tires spin, engines struggle, progress stops. But there are machines built specifically for places where winter never really ends. And one of the smallest, yet most capable, is the Arctic Cat Quad Track. This strange-looking machine feels like a hybrid between an ATV and a snowmobile. Instead of wheels, it runs on 4 independent rubber tracks. That single design choice completely changes how it moves. The tracks spread the weight evenly, allowing it to glide over snow, ice, mud, and frozen ground where wheeled vehicles sink instantly. Powered by a 4-stroke single-cylinder engine producing around 35 horsepower, the quad track doesn't rely on speed. It relies on grip. Each track is independently suspended, keeping constant contact with uneven terrain. That means stability even on icy slopes or rough frozen trails. It's used by patrol teams, rescue crews, utility workers, and explorers in some of the coldest places on Earth. There's a famous clip of one pulling a sled, full of people through a blizzard while trucks sat completely stuck. Watching it move feels unreal, like physics doesn't apply. And if you think tracks are impressive, the next vehicle takes off-road travel into places most machines never dare to go. Swamps, marshes, flooded fields. Thick mud that swallows boots whole. These are places where even confident off-roaders hesitate. But decades ago, a tiny American machine was built for exactly that environment. The TerraJet. At first glance, it looks almost too simple. Rounded body, balloon tires, compact shape, but every part of it had a purpose. Built in the late 1960s and early 1970s, the TerraJet was designed to go where trucks, boats, and ATVs couldn't. It used a small 4-stroke engine, usually between 200 and 300 cc, producing up to 20 horsepower. Again, not much power, but the vehicle was incredibly light. Its oversized low-pressure tires allowed it to float naturally in water. No special propellers needed. The tires themselves pushed it forward. On land, those same tires crawled through mud, snow, and sand without digging in. The body was sealed, keeping water out and buoyancy in. Hunters, fishermen, and explorers loved it. Emergency crews even used it during floods because it could drive and float in one continuous movement. One owner in Florida used his TerraJet to reach a remote cabin that required both land travel and water crossings. While others needed boats and long hikes, he simply drove the whole way. Today, restored TerraJets are prized by collectors who appreciate their simple genius. But before we wrap things up, there's one more idea we need to talk about. Why these machines exist at all. There's a pattern you've probably noticed by now. None of these vehicles were built to impress on paper. They weren't chasing speed records. They weren't designed to look aggressive or dominate highways. They were built to solve problems. Narrow paths, soft ground, harsh weather, remote locations. When the terrain gets worse, smaller vehicles often perform better. They weigh less. They apply pressure more evenly. They can turn around in places bigger machines can't even enter. That's why farmers, rescue teams, and workers around the world continue to rely on compact off-roaders even today. And as technology advances, these machines are only getting better. Electric motors are replacing engines. Tracks are becoming more efficient. Suspension designs are improving. And yet, the core idea remains the same. Go anywhere, do the job, come back safely. It's not about size, it's about balance. One of the biggest misconceptions in off-roading is that bigger is always better. But history tells a very different story. Some of the toughest jobs on the planet are done by machines that barely come up to your waist. And that's what makes them so fascinating. They challenge everything you think you know about strength and capability. Think about it. A vineyard vehicle from Italy, still working decades later. A tiny Jeep that brings families together. A mountain rescue machine small enough to fit on hiking trails. A floating vehicle that ignores the boundary between land and water. These machines weren't built for attention. They earned it. And every one of them proves the same point. Smart design beats brute force every time. And now it's time to bring it all together. Asterisk.